Everybody, welcome back to At the Buzzer on Wicked Good Sports. We're joined, as always, by Jack Tiernan. Jack, how you doing?
Ryan, we're doing well, thanks.
That's good. And we're joined once again by Ryan Flynn, new host to the show. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian. Thank you for asking.
So we're here to discuss the Celtics. The season is almost upon us after nearly getting so close, 2 games away from a championship last year. It seemed that it was all looking up for the Celtics, and then not so much recently. It's been a tumultuous few weeks. If you're plugged into basketball, you already know what we're implying about. We're not going to get too into that specifically. We're going to keep moving forward here. And on that note, Jack, what do you think about the interim coach?
So Joe Mazzulla has been an assistant, right, with the Celtics. He was there with the Udoka regime. I think he honestly seems like he has his head on pretty straight right now. He obviously has his demons from the past, but I think really seems like a pretty good guy now currently. And what I should say is it seems like a pretty good coach, or it looks like he'll be a pretty good coach. Just the things he's saying sound really good. He's not really trying to stray from the team's identity. And I mean, he signed Blake Griffin, right? So I guess
that's something for sure.
So far, so good. I
Yeah.
think. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, all things considered, I'm pretty content given the circumstances that that's who we have at the helm right now.
Yeah, Ryan, what do you think Joseph will bring to the Celtics? I mean, presumably he'll continue on with what they had going last year. What you don't want to fix what's not broken, but what kind of elements do you think he'll bring to the team?
Well, I certainly wasn't going to bring up his demons. That not going to upward and onwards, right? No, but also, and apologies, as I'm on the show, we're going to see more of my kitten, who's just a year old and crawls everywhere.
For the fans, what's the cat's name? For the people kidding.
Cheddar.
All right, so we got Cheddar on the show. Also, our fourth host today.
Yep.
Yeah, if we have any hot takes, I'm sure Cheddar will chime in here. But
Cheddar's take on the demons.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, right. You're saying.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously he's been with the team for a bit. Yesterday I watched his post-game interview. And you could he seemed really grounded and kind of like, they were just picking up where they left. And, it's kind of used to what you were hearing last year, but just in a good way where I felt like the team was in good hands and he's just going to kind of continue. And two big things he seemed to be emphasizing yesterday is I know before the game he actually said he wanted the starters to have no holds on minutes. He just wanted them to play. I think in part, that was to make everyone feel a little more comfortable, right? Remind people, hey, this team's still really, freaking good. And then another thing he said he wanted to work on was basically just maintaining their defensive movement throughout the rotation, no matter who's on the floor. And I don't know, those two things are just really important to me. I think if you can maintain that kind of obviously unstoppable defensive power he had last year and also the flexibility, like yesterday, given it was against the Hornets, who I think are not going to be a very good team this year, but are also going to struggle a lot at first for sure. So while we did blow them out, you do have to take that into account. But, you had Jaylen Brown at power forward. I didn't see all of the game. I think Jack had told me at one point they might have had Tatum in at the 5.
Yeah.
Al Horford has played center a lot of his career, off and on. There's just a lot you can do with these guys. I mean, Derek White, we kind of forget, is actually a pretty huge guard. And, and all of our guards pretty much, even Brogdon included, are pretty switchable. And they're not guys you're really going to burn on the perimeter.
Yeah, hopefully Derek White will be able to carry over his new dadness powers that he had in the playoffs last year into the new season. He had some games where he just looked like a real dominant player, so that was very fun.
Yeah, the dad shot, we'll see.
Yep. It was good. But speaking of moving people around and adding different pieces, Blake Griffin now a Celtic. Not as exciting as it would have been 10 years ago,
10 years
for
ago.
sure.
Oh man.
But
Let's do like 5 or 6. All right.
yeah.
Honestly,
I'm just throwing
you're right.
punches on this today.
We're a Boston sports show,
Yeah,
right? We
exactly.
gotta have a little bit of an edge of assholeness
Yeah.
in case a player ever comes onto the show and then they can call us out for being assholes to them in the past.
Blown
you know,
Blown
it's the circle of life. But Ryan, what do you think Blake Griffin's gonna bring to this team?
So I'll be honest, I'd kind of been on the watch for a while for the Celtics' need for a big, far before Rob Williams' injury, even when Gallinari was healthy. It was just a simple fact that was the depth we were lacking, even when Rob was off. You know, like Al Horford is older, he can only spare so many minutes. You want two solid bigs out there. Even with Dice, that was kind of an area I was curious about. Obviously, we got rid of him. You can say what you want about him, but he could fill in minutes. He could rebound. He could fill that center spot when you needed him to. So, yeah, I was really concerned about that spot. I'll be honest, Blake Griffin was not who I would have had in mind at all.
Sure.
I kind of is far away from my mind, but I think it might make sense. This is definitely a team, right? They're well on their way. They have quite a few outspoken leaders in the group already. And, they're already facing their share of adversity. So it kind of makes sense why you wouldn't want to take on someone like, say, Boogie Cousins.
Sure.
Onto the team. And, I mean, Blake Griffin, right? I think when he played against us on Brooklyn, there's some...
He kept them in that game 4 in the first game of the playoffs. He came in, had a bit of a spark for the Nets.
He played, yeah. And honestly, at first it looked like, oh, God, what is going on?
We're going to lose to Blake Griffin, the corpse of Blake Griffin.
But, yeah, he looked all right during that flash. And, I mean, I think his productivity, right, as a bench player only really, they really started pulling him off the end of last year. I think if you look the year before, he's still good for this is ballpark, 10 points, 6 rebounds off the bench. That's about what the Celtics are going to need throughout the season. Even I think with all the flexibility, the depth we have otherwise should be okay until Rob comes back. But yeah, so like I said, they apparently liked what they saw in the gym with him, right? I think someone flew into LA to check him out. They liked what they saw. So hopefully we're missing something that they picked up. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Jack, with the signing of Blake Griffin at this point in his career, is it kind of a good sign? You could make the argument maybe he's ring chasing a little bit, so he comes to Boston. They came in second. How do you feel about that angle to it?
That's a good point. I don't want to initially say PJ Brown vibes, but I'm gonna come back and say that I think having a proven veteran, I think one of his biggest pluses is probably his basketball IQ. But yeah, I think it's a good sign. Hopefully a harbinger of things to come, even after the situation that we're in right now. It's kind of tough times in Boston right now. The fact that we're able to still get a big free agent signing, I know he's older, but I think this is still a big name.
Certainly, yeah, big name.
I mean, he's going to fill in as that backup power forward, throw him in as a small ball 5. That Gallinari could have done for us. I think, frankly, his legs aren't as good behind him as they used to be, obviously. But he's going to be valuable. I think he's going to be a valuable piece. And I think it is kind of understated right now as to how valuable he'll be. That said, I'm excited to see him kind of come out and look, like you said, Ryan, if he puts up 10 and 6, I'm happy. I'm content with that. We do have a couple of versatile bigger guys, right? Grant Williams, Al Horford, Jason Tatum, all are relatively can play the 4 and the 5. Well, 5 is relative, I guess, closer to Horford, but they can go up and get boards. You get Blake in there to do that as well, and it gets you a better defensive team just because you can protect the glass a little bit better in the paint.
And I mean, Jaylen Brown has been a rebounding monster, especially in the postseason. I don't think people really his rebounding numbers were incredible for a shooting guard.
Yeah, exactly.
And he is someone he also is naturally, I think he's more of a small forward for sure. And, you could put him up to the 4 if you had to.
Right. I
Yes.
agree completely. And I think, to be honest, I think Brogdon is very similar to that type of mold as well. Like he's kind of a
That's a
2
good
or
point.
3.
Yeah.
You know, like Brogdon really can play the small forward and the guard positions at the same time. Like it
Yeah.
really, that versatility between like those guys alone allows a lot of different mix and match lineups.
No, Brogdon was. I think too. It was like with the Gallinari. Then obviously the recent news. Like I think it's been understated lately how big Brogdon can be for them because there were
I
kind of
agree.
two. There were two big right. I do think that the big depth was a concern for me, but also like an experienced veteran to come off the bench. I think that'll suffice. What we really needed in the playoffs was more wing depth, right? And also someone who could share minutes with Smart and White in the guard positions, particularly someone who's maybe a little more, has a history of more consistent shooting, right? And Brogdon checks all those boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sleep on my guy Luke Cornett though. I'm excited for Luke to get the opportunity.
God, all right. Now we can get into the asshole Boston stuff. Jesus Christ. No, I mean, I'm just, if that is your backup center, not looking great. You can say what you want, given right now what we have seen from Luke Cornett, right? He's been in the NBA for a while. This isn't someone who, it's not like he's going to all of a sudden like have a breakout year necessarily. Yeah, he's fine on the team. I mean, he can kind of shoot the three decently, can play a little inside defense, but not.
His defense is really spotty. Like,
yeah,
spotty, I mean, at best.
Well, I'm saying that's one of his strengths. I think, like.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
Yeah, I believe
I think the opposite.
I thought you're gonna, but I mean, I think you're looking from him like shooting and like, he's can, maybe not. Yeah, what else? Like defense, getting some rebounds. He's not like he's not a dominant post player on offense.
No.
So kind of all you can ask for him is to play defense and shoot a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm. So I guess with all that said, what is the realistic expectation of the Celtics going in to this season, given how well they played last year, but then factoring in the tumultuous, last couple of weeks? Jack, where do you see this team finishing? And then I'll ask Ryan the same question.
I think I'll two-part this. I think in the regular season, I could see them. If it's not a top 3 seed, I think that's a lost season. Not a lost season, but I think we did not perform to expectations.
Mm.
In the playoffs, I think Ryan and I were just talking about it before we hopped on and started recording, but I think you're going to have to get past a couple of guys who, depending on how Rob Williams is doing, are going to be a lot more physical in between Joel Embiid, Giannis, obviously, and then depending on what the Brooklyn Nets look like, Ben Simmons is still a good basketball player. Never thought I'd be saying this 2 years ago. Ben Simmons is still a good basketball player. Kevin Durant is still a good basketball player. Kyrie Irving is still a good basketball player. It's going to be a tough battle out of the East. We did it last year. Can we do it again? I don't know.
Yeah, Ryan.
I think I would. Realistic expectation, I would say conference finals.
Conference finals. All right, Ryan. What do you think?
So I actually did. I did a mock prediction of all Eastern Conference teams and Western Conference in the playoffs. Everything's I'm a loser, and I had.
Well, hey, that's perfect for this show, though.
Exactly. Among good company, but
yeah.
I switched. I updated today. Right now, I have Celtics finishing 4th in the regular season in the East. Like you said, there's those 3 teams, and I just think in the regular season, it's all theoretical now, and I might change. Like I said, I'm watching a game tonight for preseason for the Nets and onward. Whether or not we think they're a viable playoff team, but like Jackson, those 3 players, if they're playing, and Durant is going full throttle, it's hard to imagine them, especially with some of the. I think the hurdles the Celtics are going to have. But that's interchangeable. I could also easily see them in the 3 spot. I do think though Philly is going to be really good in the regular season. They added a lot of depth. You know, Tyrese Maxey is their 3rd player that could potentially be very scary. But in the playoffs, I believe that as of right now, we'll see how the Sixers and the Nets shape up. But based on what I know about those 2 teams and the way those teams have performed in the postseason as a group, or how they have individually on other teams, I think the Celtics are probably the 2nd biggest threat in the playoffs for a 7-game series. So I still think if all goes well, they should be able to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. And if they were in 4th place, chances are I could see the Sixers being in 1st. Personally, I say the Bucks are in 2nd. We end up playing we can't beat the Bucks in the finals, but as of right now, I feel pretty good of them to have a shot to make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Cool. So it should be another fun season. Like I said at the beginning, the offseason has been not great for the last couple of weeks as a Celtics fan, for sure. But we're still holding out hope for a good season. Jack, so you're normally the host all the time at the buzzer since the inception of the show. But you're going on vacation. Can you kind of tell us when you'll be back, and then we can kind of go into the plans going on here?
Yeah. So taking off later this week, headed to Japan for a month. I will be back in early November, November 4th, I think particularly. We'll need a couple days to adjust my sleep schedule.
Yeah.
But then we'll be back and ready to roll after that.
Cool. And so in the meantime, Ryan, he's going to be taking over for us as the knowledge guy to my, just hosting guy on this show. So we're really excited. And anything that we didn't touch on that you guys wanted to touch on in this episode?
No, but since I'm really curious as an overall NBA fan, in the 25 minutes from now to see how this preseason game plays out.
Same. Very much same.
Right, so hey, this is why you guys are good hosts for this show. You're gonna watch the preseason NBA games. Like that's commitment. Yeah. Hey, I mean, I was doing Miami minutes on the Dolphins preseason games. I'm an addict for football, and I feel like you guys are the same way for basketball. So
100%, yeah.
It's all good. Well, Jack, where can they find you online? What would you like to promote? The floor is yours.
You got it. The best place to find me is online at Twitter, and that's at Jack_Tiernan. Follow me there for NBA takes, MLB takes, NFL takes. I'm still sad about the Saints. You could also follow my disc golf account on Instagram, and that's at Jack Disc Golfs. Follow me there for a bunch of disc golf content. We'll be posting that all the time, and now probably some Japanese disc golf content.
Yes, I'm excited for that. Ryan, same thing. Anything you want to promote? Any place you want people to follow you? Anything like that?
What's Good Everything sports blog. I'll probably try to post some of my predictions for the season up on there at some point before it starts. We'll see, but you can check out articles I've written in the past.
Yes, yeah. So that's wickedgoodeverythingsports.com. You can see me completely fail to make NFL picks every week. I think this is the first week I'm going to actually be positive. So
Hope so.
It's all turning around for me here. But you can follow that blog for NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB blogs. Follow the channel for almost every day sport. We really are like everyday sports videos now. The last couple of weeks, anyways. Then you can follow the channel on Twitter at WickedGoodSport or at WG Everything, Instagram WickedGoodEverything, Twitch at twitch.tv/WickedGoodEverything, and on TikTok search Wicked Good Sports, search Wicked Good Everything. Guys, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Yeah, we'll see you all in the next one.